Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so we're good.
Yeah, commence gaming.
Where is our little follower count thing?
Oh. We can put that back. I was just trying to think of a place it could go that like wouldn't be in the way for this game. Maybe near the top would be better for this one.
Oh yeah, top works.
Hello.
So
hello, everybody.
Yeah. So Zach, did you remember the thing that you were gonna say?
Mm.
That you already said before?
I was told to tell a funny joke, which is that if we were to hold a pride at Chernobyl, would we call it fruit by the foot? You know, hold your applause, hold your laughter, please.
The confetti starts raining from the ceiling.
It's really funny.
In here. So we're starting case 4.
Yeah.
Of this game.
So I realized like last time you were like barely hanging in there at the end. Do you remember what happened? With case 3.
I do remember what happened, but you also said that it was like my boy, the human persona of Scrooge McDuck, who was like on fire in the cart, and I didn't have a way to confirm or deny that. And it was one of like the fucking bailiffs that like called him in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they, like Jacksepticeye on fire.
Yeah, everyone's just gonna come check out this piece of evidence and look where it got us.
The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro.
時折僕は思うのだよ、ワトソン。ホームズは物憂げに首を振り言った。我々が目にする事件は
How have we still not acknowledged that Wilson is dead?
その裏側に誰も知るもののない物語が隠れているかもしれない。
In the 5th case.
ハーブティーから立ち上る湯気を追う。
The story is spread over 2 games.
What had happened in the first case and you met Sholmes in the second?
ブライアロードの歩道に倒れ伏した若い女性とその背に刺さった狂人。ガス灯の明かりが柔らかく切り取った奇怪な事件現場の情景。不可解な姿なき犯人の事件は薄い霧の中静かに幕を開けたのだった。
Lady's got a knife in her back.
Uh-oh.
Some bad hoodlum did it.
Some bad hoodlum set a piece of evidence on fire, along with the person inside it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo?
No, not at all.
It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious, I felt like we were staying in a palace. The pillows had feathers in them. Incredible. And with all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night.
What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Berea, I wasn't gonna waste a single inch of that. I wasted inches. I spent the night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other.
Oh, that's a cute smile. Oh, that's precious. Oh yes, it really was the sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except when I learned that we owe £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare.
Yeah, sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking.
In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill.
I am so sorry.
Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodging straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less.
London is a scary place.
Ah, good morning to you at this early hour.
Oh, yes, we, whoa. Whoa.
Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday.
Sato-san is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid, even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart.
Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices.
Yes, it was very eye-opening. Thank you.
In accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end.
Yes, I've already been apprised of events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed.
Oh!
No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land.
Thank you very much. I'm a lawyer now.
Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem.
Another case? Already?
Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I?
It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I hadn't quite come to terms with it.
What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared and then lit on fire. What more were you hoping for?
Culpability of the defendant has not at the present time been established by the court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment.
Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense, so if you'll excuse me, I'm going to the surface of the sun. What? He's got funny bones.
Many of them.
I can't help wondering if Mr. McGilded was really innocent.
Mr. Naruhodo.
It's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended.
Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer.
Sorry.
What do you mean, Lord Strongheart?
That man's roast duck now. Magnus McGilded passed away immediately following the trial.
No!
Mr. McGilded is...
Fucking bird.
How did all these fucking birds get into my room? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk.
Well, time to talk. But first, let me show you this.
Check it out.
Oh
Check
my
it
goodness.
out.
Lord Strongheart, may I show you this?
To accept this item, issue a receipt, examine it thoroughly, and make a formal statement of my findings. But requires something in the region of 24 seconds of my time.
Sorry.
Does the item warrant 24 seconds of my time, Mr. Naruhodo?
Let's leave it for now.
Unfortunate.
It totally does. It's really cool.
It's awesome.
Alright. McGilded's death.
I don't understand what happened. How can he be dead?
After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom.
Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGilded was accused of.
Precisely. Well, the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter. The omnibus went up in flames.
No.
How could such a thing have happened?
That is being investigated as we speak, but already. The police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of the McGilded.
That's awful.
The man must have slipped inside whilst the bailiff's attention was elsewhere.
That bailiff really needs to pay more attention.
And how could that have happened?
That is also being investigated as we speak.
Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilded did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus.
Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection.
Sorry, what inspection?
I'm inspecting a lighter and a can of hairspray at the same time in an enclosed space. What else would we be doing? inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage.
But then who was Mr. McGilded talking about?
Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the cops.
Poor Mr. McGilded.
So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was... wow.
Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It really is a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old.
Wow, Susato-san has such a way with words.
And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones.
She just read his fucking mind.
Yeah, I was about to say, did he even say that out loud? The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can.
The most advanced in the world, is it?
I also once caught a fish this big.
Yeah.
It was fortunate. And your very first trial was a simple affair.
Simple? That was simple?
I believe I mentioned yesterday morning it was a trial you couldn't lose.
I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple.
The circumstances of the case were so incriminating I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny?
Sorry, someone just tickled my tummy. No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent, wouldn't you agree?
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much at least is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I have prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before.
What's going on? What was he gonna say before?
Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned?
Don't tell me. It's a murder, and the trial starts in 10 minutes?
Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite as urgent as your last assignment.
Dang.
It starts in 5 minutes. In fact, this case is completely different.
Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind?
That is to say, no one has died yet.
Nunny.
And the trial will not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly.
Before it begins, tomorrow morning.
Tonight at precisely 12:01 a.m.
Oh my god.
Yeah, 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise.
Trial's tomorrow, then.
Yeehaw. Is everything alright?
Oh yeah, just fine. I'm a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was, well, left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. If only you had prevented our boyfriend from dying,
Damn.
none of this would be happening right now.
Damn.
If only the ship hadn't turned so abruptly. I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial.
Yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case.
Oh boy, what could it be?
Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense.
Oh, I thought it was a Moida.
If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome.
The most terrible end awaits the defendant.
Yes, that's right.
Here we go again.
Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. It's now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits.
Last time he mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time.
And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you.
Yeah? What's that?
Yesterday, you remarked upon something. And you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. Here's the criminal shit we were up to with him that we were discussing. I'd be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds.
Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world worked so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing.
Another thing. Continue.
On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important.
There's something very important. Something very important, and what exactly would that be?
He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he had ever made it to Great Britain.
You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion.
Mr. Naruhodo, what's this all about? Mr. Sogi never once mentioned anything of the sort to me.
I urge you to both focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case.
Oh boy!
Be able to apprise you of the details.
How long has he been there?
So, good luck. Farewell.
There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean?
I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think? He's glaring at us.
Yeah, you're right. He's looking right at you.
I hope I'm just imagining him, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all.
Is he holding prize?
You could say that.
He's got himself some chips.
Could we trouble you?
What do you think?
Lovely weather, isn't it?
What's the weather got to do with anything? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English jet eaten out of your hand, you know?
But Sasada-sen told me it was foolproof.
I'm a busy man, a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, and I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking to. Nom nom.
Yeah, I'm ever so sorry.
Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying? Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. And all because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to tatters.
There's no need to rip us apart as well.
I don't believe we've been introduced. This is me, Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer.
Huh?
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant,
Huh?
It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it?
It's real scorcher, isn't it? It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine.
Unbelievable, how did she pull that off?
So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Gregson, Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard.
Gregson? Inspector Gregson?
What's the matter with Sasato-san? Does this detective's name mean something to her?
Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson?
No!
You're acting like you know this man, Miss Susato, but he's a London detective.
Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact.
Very well.
Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes.
Oh, in that publication. What's it called again? Rants magazine?
That's right, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful, friendly rivalry.
Really? You rival the great Sholmes. That's incredible.
Yes, only second to Mr. Wilson, who is doing fine in Japan right now.
Definitely.
Oh, well, I don't really know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time.
Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words.
That's his highest praise.
Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see.
That he is not, and thanks to that magazine, my name is known all over London town now.
That's great, isn't it?
I have to admit that to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the Yard went through the roof.
That's wonderful.
No, it is not! There is nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure.
Rumors?
Are you quite sure?
He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that.
Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you?
Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying. But I know what folks are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as eggs is eggs.
We had eggs tonight.
Eggs is eggs.
Eggs are eggs.
We also had delicious French toast
It was good.
with blackberries.
I get the feeling this detective this detective works hard.
Oh dear, perhaps a sudden rise to fame does change people. Alright, give me the deets.
About the case the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before.
Nothing to tell, really.
Nope, nothing at all. See you tomorrow.
Good luck. As far as we're concerned at the Yard, it couldn't be simpler.
Oh dear, that probably means... As far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated.
I wish you were wrong, but I have a nasty feeling you're right.
A young woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital, unconscious.
That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind?
I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a Susato takedown, would you?
That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo.
Brace yourself, Ryunosuke. You've angered her.
Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. That's right, good old Johnny stab in the back, found at the scene of the crime. He barely had time for a cup of tea. The incident took place, to be honest.
So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit?
Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question?
Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one.
Sorry?
There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now.
Why ever not?
Simple. Elementary, even. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Beric Van Zeeks, and nobody's ever beat him in a trial.
Yay!
That's never happened.
Woohoo!
No.
That's right, he's gonna clap your Van cheeks. Sounds like you've heard of him then.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, yeah, we are very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks. He kicked the table.
God, it was hot.
Reaper of E. Bailey.
Oh, damn it, I can't remember the voice I did for him. I remember when I see him.
Lord Van Zykes, who we faced in court yesterday.
He sounded very vampire-like.
Yeah, he did kind of like an Alucard thing.
Mr. McGildas told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zeek stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned.
Right, every single one.
Every one.
The Reaper of the Bailey nickname. I suppose he earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty. Is that it?
Yikes. What a fucking look. Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty.
Huh. And what of it?
Well, I think that means even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant.
No, you really don't have a clue, do you?
What do you mean?
And he just shoves him in his pocket?
What
chips.
happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead.
Ah!
Magnus McGillen. Fucking potatoes in your fucking pocket, bro.
Keeps him warm.
Keeps the inside of his pocket like super greasy.
Yeah.
Magnus McGillen came a cropper in that omnibus when it went up in flames.
Hands come in and out of his pocket way quicker.
You can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you?
What are you saying?
Look, if Van Zeeks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. That's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic. Black magic. I'd have a good long think about that if I were you.
Are we really supposed to believe that?
Oh, wrong. Wrong.
He's got minimum chin.
Yeah, Minichin. Right, well, I filled you in as requested. You really fucking didn't.
Oh god, he reminds me of the JoJo character.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pesci?
Pesci! Yeah!
So I'll be heading back to
Yikes.
the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. I'm trying to find the last fuck I gave about this case.
It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place.
That's correct, ma'am. And if you're headed over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself.
You've branded him a criminal already?
He's as good as, shaking like a leaf in his cell he is. It'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. It's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and I'll show you the way.
Inmate 53, thank you. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say.
Is something troubling you? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage, too.
But the man they've arrested is innocent. What if? You could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny.
So...
If I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events.
Give me a moment, y'all. I'm gonna rub my eyes.
How dare you?
I know, and Nick,
Yeah, you need a good glasses
I
cleaning.
need a good glasses cleaning.
It's okay. Just eye
I
contact.
need to
with
actually
the
get
sun.
like a glasses cleaning kit.
Yeah, they're very helpful.
Absolutely.
There should be a cloth in that little basket whenever you need one. Oh, little blue one. But a cotton shirt is good too. But no polyester.
No polyester?
Yeah, you can fuck it up if you rub it with the wrong cloths.
Whoops.
Yeah, I remember when I first got my glasses when I was in the 3rd grade, they were like, oh yeah, don't ever use paper towels to clean your glasses. And like,
Yeah,
from then on, it just became like,
taboo.
yeah, exactly. And like, I really can't imagine using paper towels to clean my glasses.
God.
Microfiber cloth is best. 100% cotton shirt will do in a pinch. Don't use anything else.
Yep.
Noted.
Because if you do use anything else, even though it might not mess up your glasses, it can just fuck up the smudges so bad and honestly make your vision worse.
The little scratches will build too.
I definitely don't want that.
It's
Oh, did you
okay.
pull your headphone out?
it'll still work though.
Is that what that sound was earlier?
Yeah, I did it at mine. And I'm not really sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try, so I think I'm gonna make some inquiries. Will you help?
No.
Did you really think you had to ask?
Aw.
After all, I am your judicial assistant.
Thank you. So then, shall we?
Yes! Let's go!
Just frozen there forever.
Perfect. As she should be.
Oh. Susano's fucking great.
I love her.
Oh yeah, she's the best.
So much. I want to go to the prison. I want to go to jail.
Let's go to jail.
Oh my god!
You're welcome.
Alright, who's the eccentric fucking person we're about to meet?
So these are British prison cells.
Oh, they're ghastly. It feels like a dungeon.
Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these stone, cold walls.
Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem worse.
Apparently our client is in this cell here. It's so dark at the back there I can't make him out. Wonder what he's like. 53 are legal representatives in the city. Some idling at the back of the cell. Take a face at once.
Am I a cat as yet with no name? Calling me by a number, it's utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I refuse to answer.
Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think is going on here?
I have no idea. But I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, I love your design. Your eyes are wonderful, sir.
Excuse me, but...
Shh. All around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I can sense it.
Oh, right. So...
There you are. You've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it. You're a ghost.
A ghost?
We mean you no harm, prisoner son. Are you Japanese by any chance? Nihonjin desu ka?
This is beyond my wildest dreams. Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all.
Imagine it. It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am in a frightful fix in a foreign land.
Oh.
So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. Bless this
Who
man.
could have guessed it, this client? Lord Van's like, Lord Strongheart.
Freudian slip there.
We're turning to be a fellow Japanese.
What compassion my fellow countrymen show. To dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student.
Yep, definitely.
Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon!
A first-class lawyer. Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here.
I wonder, would you be so kind to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example?
Yes, I can, I will. Can't stay solid and silent.
Wow, we're gonna get through, like, all the letters of the alphabet with this fella, huh? I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy.
Yeah, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I am a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
And I am Naruhodo sent Additional Assistant Susaso Mikatoba.
I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notably, notoriously named Natsumi. Sosoki Natsumi.
Okay, some context. This is a real person that existed. He's like famous enough in Japan. He was on like some like dollar bill, like the 20 or something. I don't know.
Huh.
And he actually did like visit London in this period of time and was a student there.
Oh.
And the game's developers were like, can we? They asked the family, like the ancestors of him, can we use your like ancestor in our game? And they're like, yeah, sure.
Neat.
Well, hell yeah.
Here he is. In
Great.
jail. Yeehaw.
Soseki Natsume-san. What an unusual name.
Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see, a writer of haiku.
Ah.
It's something of a nom de plume. Nom de plume.
A nom de plume? You mean like an alias?
That's right, Naruhodo-san.
No, no, no! Don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that.
And haiku? That really reminds me of home.
Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government?
Yes, yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. First, I had to suffer that misery, and now this! It's beyond the pale.
Pass a face.
Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here?
No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course.
No?
What? Just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it? No.
What do you mean?
They told me to study English literature. That I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable.
See,
Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. Tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on white washi.
You must be a man of great standing.
Oh yes, so I'm often told.
and often like to be told, it seems.
Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Soseki-san?
I didn't do it. I didn't commit that atrocious murder.
Murder?
Oh, no. It's alright. The woman didn't actually die. Did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes.
Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker?
I didn't see anyone.
What?
If I'd seen the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here?
Oh dear, it seems this case is becoming rather complicated.
Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me?
Yikes.
It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient.
The Saseki-san was there at the scene but didn't see the attacker.
It's vital that we find out more about the case.
The next time he does one of those, like, what is it,
Alliteration.
Yeah, it is alliteration. Okay, next time he does one of those, don't, like, I want to count the number of syllables to see if he's also doing a haiku.
Ooh.
Because it's a lot of syllables.
I didn't think about that.
It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings.
Here, the bookshop wasn't accursed too?
As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the... I'm sorry, did they stab like a character from Moomin? What are these proportions? Hello? What the fuck?
Exactly 4 feet tall.
Collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet.
Oh,
damn.
no!
Oh,
How
terrible.
terrible!
I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a Ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Okay, not that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah.
Slight exaggeration there, perhaps.
I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings.
That's not good.
They'll say it was shameful. I know, to run away like that.
Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours?
Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English and a young woman at that? I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people.
Oh, damn. What a mood.
I see. A young woman, unknown to Soseki-san. And at the time it happened. Who else did you see nearby? Did anyone pass you?
Incredibly, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul.
No one? Oh, great.
So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it?
Hmm? What conundrum?
So was Miss Moomin just walking around with a fucking knife in her back?
She was walking around and then there was a knife in her back. What do you mean, Susato-san? What's the conundrum?
Well, if what Soseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says he didn't know the victim and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen.
I did.
But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit.
What did you just say?
Nothing, I didn't say anything. I thought a little loud.
Maybe that's why we can read his thoughts. He just thinks loudly.
He's like, you did it.
Actually, that's not what gets me. I was thinking, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested?
Sorry?
He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover he was there in the first place?
Oh yeah, she's right.
It was him. That accursed great detective, he led the police to me. Of all the bad luck.
Accursed great detective. Could it be?
Shall never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody begone! May you be cursed until the end of your days, Airlock Sholmes.
I knew it.
Mr. Sholmes?
Airlock. Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure.
It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police! Put the weapon down!" Yes, it was a thin sliver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon! Disgusting dietary discrimination devils.
Not quite.
Yeah, it was just short. And there he was, in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Airlock Sholmes.
It's actually just Airlock. He's English.
I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London.
Yes, the great detective is really well known.
How do you find that out in a prison cell? And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman. Me, this weak, stooped kitten of a man.
What great deduction process led him to the conclusion this time?
Do you mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable.
Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in.
Of course you were. That's only natural.
I was terrified and trembling. They kept throwing question after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish, foreign, flammery.
Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English.
Good point. Good point. My mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say, so I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine. The next thing I knew, I was in manacles. Before I knew it, I was thrown in here.
Oh, dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising.
I'm fine. He's not fine now.
Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo. And when we're speaking English, a simple Mr. is more than enough.
Oh, yes, alright, yes, they've really got to me. This country's poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you?
Well,
Why? Why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me?
Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself on a study tour.
A student?
I have defended a case in the Old Bailey, only the one though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means.
Oh, Naruhodo-san.
I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm a locum lawyer, I suppose.
But that armband, that's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire.
It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend.
A keepsake? I know exactly what they're saying about me.
Who do you mean?
The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers, they won't defend me.
Goodness, why do you say that?
The same reason as you noted before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks like I must be the culprit.
It must be very hard for you, Saseki-san.
And anyways, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them, someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyways.
That's awful.
They're wrong! I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn that these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue.
You could do it.
Couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through.
Saseki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can, for the time being.
What do you mean?
We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, yes. Thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you, locum student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
We should get going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. Alright, Nick, question.
Yeah.
Is this a 2-day case? The first day is for investigation, the second day happens in court?
Yeah, there's just one investigation phase.
Alright, cool. So, should we do the investigation phase, and then stop for the next stream to do, like, all of the court phase?
I'm good with whatever, if you feel like it's a natural place to cut it off when we get there.
I'd be okay with that.
Cool. You want to see this, Bubby?
Yes! Yes! The symbol of one of our great empire's first-rate lawyers. Which means, of course, you'll stand by my side. You'll defend me.
Oh, no, sorry. That wasn't what I was showing it to you. I just think it's neat.
But why else would you show me that?
Oops. probably wasn't the best idea.
That's fucking amazing.
God!
Oh, incredible.
Naruhodo, why would you...
Do you remember what voice I did for Sholmes?
Oh, yeah.
Alright, that's what I'm going with.
Oh shit.
I'll fucking bring it. When he inevitably shows up clung to the side of a building.
It was very dramatic, I remember that. So this is where it happened, Briar Road.
Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak.
Susato was one of those people on Tumblr that was like super into Sherlock. Well, yeah. No, yeah. Literally.
Yeah,
She's literally a Sherlock Holmes fangirl. Wait a minute.
cumberbunches of oats.
That's their job, Mr. Naruhodo, to see one with my own eyes. They're often depicted in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, but I never dreamed I'd ever come this close. To a real Bobby's helmet!
Oh, the helmet.
Of course. I have to try one on one day.
Oh, I hope we see that sprite.
I hope your Hattie dream comes true.
What's the Japanese delegation doing here?
Oh, Inspector Gregson.
This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm frankly sure you're well aware.
Yes, of course we're here to investigate.
So you've been to the holding cells then? What'd you make of the criminal?
He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect.
We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose.
He's only sussy.
He's not a baka yet. I'll do what you will. It doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict's a foregone conclusion.
The stone cold air of rejection.
Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone cold air. What the fuck?
It's way worse. Susato, this sucks. Everything sucks!
London is a vacuum!
Tell me about this place. Ever since I read about it in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place.
The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am.
Oh, and you know, I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet.
It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with that helmet and all. You certainly get the sense that this is a Bobby who don't take no nonsense and protecting the city.
Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful?
Spiffy.
Being a London Bobby is a hard going, I can tell you.
Oh really?
First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes round and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they can get off to work.
What, he wakes people up?
Yup. The raps on their windows with a long pole. Did it myself going back a bit.
So, they were the alarm clocks?
Yeah, that's
Of the
actually how it
sheriff?
used to work. They had a big stick and they'd go around waking people up.
Wow. I had no idea.
The Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance.
Jesus! Kind of incredible that they're using miles here. Wouldn't you think?
That's true.
I think they actually did use miles back then.
Oh really?
Because it's Imperial unit. I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know when they started metricing over there. But I can't imagine how far that is. It sounds like a long way. Fuck is a mile?
Let me see. What the fuck is a mile? My
Miles
book
edgeways?
says that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama.
On foot? Definitely taking things a step too far.
Only one.
One step.
One step too far.
And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps.
Oh my.
I suppose in between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well.
And chase after criminals trying to evade the law.
Not sure you could call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit.
Wait. By men, he means like bobbies?
I think so.
Bobbies
Yeah,
just like work themselves to death?
Not like actually dying, just like exhausted.
Gotcha. I'd always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruto.
Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. Kokoro means heart, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, did I already say that?
No, I just knew that.
Okay,
Because
cool.
I'm a fucking weep.
Yeah.
Happened at around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago, just there on that open bit of pavement.
Incredible. We all know that. We are all weebs.
That was a test.
The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind.
Is it right the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned she's being treated in hospital.
I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all.
Suppose that means I haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course.
Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want.
Evidence.
Really? Are you sure? Covered in grease.
It's your hard policy to give lawyers, defendant suspects the odd bit of information to go on.
I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still.
Thank you, Inspector. We'll gratefully accept.
Map.
Got the map.
Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. So who did it, do you think? Not much of a head-scratcher, is it?
Well, I know Mr. Natsume was also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but...
But just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can be sure that nobody else was present.
I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but we most certainly can be sure.
Huh?
Because I said so, ma'am. The precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed.
What?
We have 2 very reliable witnesses, no less.
Very reliable.
Very reliable.
Very.
It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them.
There were witnesses now?
Witnesses!
Who are these witnesses, Inspector?
A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard.
Policeman? That might change things.
And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked?
Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby. Catching them bang in the act and all that. Well,
Hey!
Right in the London.
perks of the job, really, when you think about it.
Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions?
Be my guest. You can ask him what you like. In court tomorrow. Gotcha.
Ah,
I have no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. That'll give you something to look forward to.
that's that then. Got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems.
Nick, the thing in court isn't gonna happen where that cop testifies and everyone in the jury is like, well, he's a cop, he can't lie! And then we have to be like, they can still lie.
I
Like,
don't-
stop the trial
They do
for
something
it.
weird with him. I kind of like it.
Okay, okay.
Okay. A policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this can make our job very difficult indeed.
Yeah, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me too.
Damn.
One more thing, Inspector.
What?
The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
What are you bringing him up for?
Something I said? Colors the arrangements of cheeks.
That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not?
Yeah,
Makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole.
because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean?
There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It's all a bit strange, though.
Sorry?
The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now.
Yes, we did hear something to that effect.
The only people he usually bothers with are the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones.
Master criminals.
The violent ones?
That's right, he handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins.
But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely.
That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. It couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper would want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase.
Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it?
No, there's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest.
I have an idea for why he's taking an interest. Really? What sort of reason?
You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? You'll have to ask him yourself. At tomorrow's trial, gotcha again.
Are we going to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he put it.
The Lord of Darkness. Mr. Sholmes.
Who did you hear that name from?
It was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings.
I'm sure it was the result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions.
Fiddle faddle! The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere.
Oh.
I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime. Wanders around, spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case.
Yeah, he's quite astounding, isn't he?
He is a great help to the Scotland Yard, though. Right?
Gibble gabble. Ever seen this before?
Yeah, that's Rant's magazine.
The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Herlock Sholmes appears.
Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any of Herlock Sholmes' tales at all.
Well, I suppose there is an element of that.
We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be frumped by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all of our criminals.
That can't really be true, can it, Inspector?
Clearly the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. Complicated. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective.
Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion?
Oh yes, what is it?
Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this.
By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, exactly!
Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Sholmes for all this, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in this case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not.
I assure you.
I assure you, it's not my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again.
No, sorry. We have no address. Baker.
It's Baker Street.
Oh shit, she's ready.
How did you know that?
It's in the stories. 221 Baker Street, the most famous address in the world.
I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose.
Damn, Susato.
We better try and find our way there before Susato-san gets any more excited and unpredictable.
Hoorah! I'll summon a carriage.
He also has the world's most famous social security number.
A reunion already with the great detective Herlock Sholmes.
Well, I do believe we got a piece of evidence.
Look at that.
Alright. Meerschaum Street, Calabash Road, and Briar Road.
That's all you need to know, huh?
And that was where it happened.
Simple as.
They're gonna be like, oh, it happened right up on Meerschaum, and you're gonna be like, objection! No, it didn't. And they're gonna go, ah!
I bet they're gonna be like, he was walking this way, turned the corner, and then it happened, and then he ran up here, and I don't know which way he went from there. But we're gonna be like, no, he must have been here when they died. Or something. I don't know.
It was something, alright.
Yeah, something. A new location has been. Can we really visit? Do you think? Oh, Pinchy, I'm sure I must be dreaming.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Of your plants.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it gives me just a wee bit of anxiety seeing them just like on the rail like that.
Yeah, you should, like, rule of thumb, just never fucking have them hanging where they could be knocked into the street.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. So we got some chess pieces up there.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
I also see, like, a note stabbed into the wall.
Oh, a funky shoe in front of the mirror?
Fucking elf shoe.
So this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels surreal to be here. It is described in the story. Is it as described in the stories, Mr. Sato? Mrs. Sato-san?
Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room.
Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. I've never heard the stories, but it's hard to get quite as excited as she seems to be.
The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it. The romanticism. Can you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, I suppose I can, yes. Romance.
So if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please don't mind me.
She's obsessed.
Imagine, you know, like, if I told you guys the sound effect of, like, something really heavy and stone, like, turning very slowly on a swivel.
Yeah.
I imagine that's the sound she makes when you, like, rotate.
Like a Maui head turning to look at you.
Oh my god.
Looks like our detective friend isn't home at present.
We just came inside.
Excuse me, is anyone home?
Oh,
Jimmy
we have a visitor?
You! Oh, that is all you.
Hello, is this a big new case for Mr. Sholmes?
Hello. Wait. Aren't you...
Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once. I do not remember the fucking voice I had for her.
You're doing right. Sure, it's the same girl. Mr. Sato, did you see the girl who was just here?
No, this is just bleeding.
Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case.
The King of Bohemia?
King Wilhelm Gostritch Kitsuji von Ornstein, of course!
Of course.
Oh, sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there.
The tea's brewed and I have a freshly baked cake as well. It's you!
I knew it! He recognizes her too.
Boy, it's a flashback. I'm taking that gun is my gun. I made it pink because it's pretty.
The girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilda's trial in the defendant's antechamber.
I never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London.
Oh yes, it was challenging.
Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know.
Thank you. He's supposed to be that color.
Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray! It's the winner! I tried blending different leaves together to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots of luck. Ganbaru. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do ya?
Hurley? Hurley? Mr. Sholmes to you, surely.
Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he just returned from overseas.
Wait a minute. I met this girl for the first time yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think?
And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suite? Oh, silly me, I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley.
My lovely father, alive and well in Japan.
Can't wait to see Daddy. What a lovely name.
What?
What's the matter?
No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is... Your name is Wilson?
What's the matter, Susato? Why does she seem so flustered?
Yep, that's right. And what are your names?
Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan.
Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo, got it. Susie?
Runo? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her, I don't know where to start.
Yes, and so do I.
Do me a favor. Examine that go over one. Like to the next side. Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. I gotta... There we go.
Examine that chalkboard.
Ah, that's my blackboard where I note down ideas.
Interesting. Let's see. Black Peter. What does that mean?
Don't you want to hear what Iris has to say, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'll come back to that blackboard later. Okay. I just knew from the achievements list that, like, I hadn't checked it at this point in the game yet, and I was wondering if there's anything interesting.
Ah.
Oh.
But not really.
So wait, okay, hang on. So was the person who died in the first act?
Dr. John Wilson. Not Watson, but Wilson.
But Wilson, okay. So it is, I was like, was it just a weird coincidence and they just, like, anime girlified fucking Watson in Ace Attorney, or is this, like,
That's
his daughter?
what the trailers made it seem like when the game first came out, but it's more complex than that.
Okay, cool. So this is just a relative.
People are like,
of
what
some
the
sort.
fuck did you do to Watson? But no, it makes sense later. Iris, could I show you this?
Oh, how exciting! What is it? Tell me all about it!
Actually, I was hoping you might be able to tell me something about it, if anything comes to mind.
Why?
Well, I suppose it wouldn't.
Tell me, I want to hear everything!
It hasn't gone according to plan.
Oh, see. Alright. Time to converse. Iris.
It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey.
Yep, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh, no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming.
Though at the time we did have a rather large gun pointed at us.
This is the guy!
Like this. No.
Thinking back now, you left Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you?
That was the awkward witness, Gina Lestrade.
Oh, Ginny? Yeah, she's a professional pickpocket. It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that.
Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption?
Yep, that's the one. I followed her to get it back. Perhaps I should think about a fitting self-destruct mechanism in my invention.
This girl is dangerous.
Hot and dangerous. If you are one of us, then roll with us. I brought her back here after that so she could apologize to my trusty technician.
Am I old now? Do I not understand a reference?
Old man.
You would know it. It's a song from like 8 years ago.
Okay. Your technician.
Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley? Yep, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together.
I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter.
Daughter? Not likely.
What?
I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes?
We make sweet love every night.
No.
Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost of the partner, a roommate.
You're a roommate?
Oh my god, they were roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates. I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 and what?
That's always like, nope.
Okay, alright.
Alright, excuse me. I'm 10!
Adjusts pitch. Where are your mother and father?
Oh no. They're not around.
I see. I wonder what the story is there.
Oh, I wonder! Wilson!
So Wilson, huh?
Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course, go ahead, Susie. I am a very great fan of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, and oh, you have a copy of Rant's magazine! Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting! My stories are being read on the other side of the world!
My stories?
That's right. Hurley's always solving such amazing cases, you see. And he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I were the only one who ever heard them, you think? Goodness. Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author.
Meeting your favorite fanfic author.
Yeah, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm going to call the latest adventure The Speckled Band.
Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar.
Of course, I always change 1 or 2 details in the stories, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble.
That was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually.
Yes, and of course I know that snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but it's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? So, do you mean to say, are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in Rant's magazine all written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson.
Addison's getting more worked up.
Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I'm a doctor of medicine.
There's like, how is this name not ringing a bell for Ryunosuke or like anything? this constant, like, void of information, even when his name is being directly brought up, is, like, driving me insane.
They get heavy into that. Do not worry.
They get heavy into it?
That's quite incredible.
But, Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Also, I'm a 10-year-old girl. Do you think any publisher is going to take my writing in this day and age? The answer is almost certainly no.
No.
Well, it sounds a little strange, huh? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow. I suppose it does, yes.
Poor Susato-san. She looks like her whole world is just falling apart.
It's me. I'm gonna make your world fall apart.
What about before?
What about before?
How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean?
Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted. Although, there's really no mystery. Now let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present her logic and reasoning spectacular.
He's taking us to Reddit.
First of all, I already knew you were a lawyer, Runo. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber. Duh.
But you said we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that?
I observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket.
Oh.
So I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against a particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs.
The Reaper of the Bailey. I walked right into that one, didn't I?
Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today. They used those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see? I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only for people visiting foreign inmates. So that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, the two of you have already got cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you were wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case.
I see.
But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home for a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. He told me that he caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling.
Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been.
Mr. Natsume. Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion to those facts that could lead me to... You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley's always stabbing notes with a knife, you know! He's a silly guy.
How silly.
And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. Tune in next week for another episode of Iris Wilson's podcast.
Hey.
Yeehaw!
I'll subscribe to that Patreon.
Actually, her podcast style should have been great deductions, but I didn't get through the entire sentence. Whoops. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct?
Deducted. Spot on.
That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction.
You even managed to the certain something in Mr. Sholm's delivery.
Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really very good news. You can tell it's all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please. The case of the Japanese man.
Yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying.
Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene.
Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems.
Apparently, a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, swifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man. Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt.
Seki-san said he didn't see anyone else in the street at all. But it seems there were witnesses after all.
Hurley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address.
Yeah.
It was a lodging room, very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man, shivering in fear.
Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time.
Of course it did. He's a great detective.
Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it?
Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of working with the world's greatest justice system.
I suppose it is.
Ah, yeah, world's best.
I don't put out much hope for Saseki. Huh?
Just try and pin on the first person you see. If they don't have the defendant, then they go fuck themselves.
Yeah. Thank you for answering so many questions. It's been very informative.
Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun.
I happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment. As you guessed, we'd like him to ask some questions about this case as well.
Ah, well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene.
Involving Mr. Natsume.
Yet Mr. Natsume? Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you could probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Do you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there?
Yeah, we know Gregson.
Oh, goody. In that case... Give Gregsy this for me, won't you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know.
What is this?
A 5-shilling piece and postcard, it seems. Iris's postcard has been entered into the court record. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that it won't be a problem." Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it?
Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try.
She just hand you like a custom-made bribe.
Yeah.
Good luck then. I'm returning to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band. And I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, it's back to the scene of the crime.
So somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all, we headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. This is a 2-part investigation. The second one doesn't look long, but if you want to cut it here, I'm okay with that.
I'd kind of be okay with cutting it here, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
10.
Oh gosh. Which one is it?
It's slot number 4.
How do you
because
know that?
It is for sure ours.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, that's a lot of setup.
Yep.
In this case, it seemed interesting.
This one's weird. I'll say that.
Have any of them not been weird so far?
Yeah, have any of them just been straight up, to the point?
None of them have been like a normal Ace Attorney case so far.
This hardly seems like a normal Ace Attorney game.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I think that was good. I'm looking forward to streaming this again soon.
Yep. Bye, people.
Bye, y'all.
Bye!